So I try to stay pretty out of the stream of things. I don't really listen to the news. I don't really watch anything. I don't really see anything that is basically of current events. But still, even for someone like me who is a hermit and lives alone and works overnights, etc., some of that stuff slowly seeps in. And to be quite frank, yeah, I don't think that we are on a very good track right now, and things are in the least concerning, right? So I thought that what a better way to address those concerns for myself than to read some poetry, and we have here the Penguin Book of First World War Poetry. This is a collection predominantly of the trench poets. So I thought that maybe spending some time with these poems that are sort of in the face of conflict would maybe soothe me, but I think maybe it does not. So I wanted to start with a poem from Isaac Rosenberg called On Receiving the First News of the War. Snow is a strange white word. No ice or frost has asked of bud or bird for winter's cost. Yet ice and frost and snow from earth to sky this summer land doth know. No man knows why. In all men's hearts it is. Some spirit old hath turned with malign kiss our lives to mold. Red fangs have torn his face, God's blood is shed. He mourns from his lone place, his children dead. O ancient crimson curse, corrode, consume, give back this universe its pristine bloom. Isaac Rosenberg, Wilfred Owen, and Siegfried Sassoon are the poets that we will be hearing from today. Isaac Rosenberg and Siegfried Sassoon are probably my two favorite poets because of how they are able to use irony. Wilfred Owen is good though as well. So that was On Receiving the First News of the War. The next one, also here from Isaac Rosenberg, is Break of Day in the Trenches, and it reads as such. The darkness crumbles away. It is the same old druid time as ever. Only a live thing leaps my hand, a queer sardonic rat. As I pull the parapet's poppy to stick behind my ear, droll rat, they would shoot you if they knew your cosmopolitan sympathies. And God knows what antipathies. Now you have touched this English hand. You will do the same to a German, soon, no doubt, if it be your pleasure, to cross the sleeping green between. It seems you inwardly grin as you pass, strong eyes, fine limbs, haughty athletes, less chanced than you for life, bonds to the whims of murder, sprawled in the bowels of the earth, the torn fields of France. What do you see in our eyes at the shrieking iron and flame hurled through still heavens? What quaver, what heart aghast? Poppies whose roots are in man's veins drop and are ever dropping, but mine in my ear is safe, just a little white with dust. The next poem comes from Wilfred Owen, known as Anthem for Doomed Youth. What passing bells for these who die as cattle? Only the monstrous anger of the guns, only the stuttering rifle's rapid rattle can patter out their hasty orisons. No mockeries for them, no prayers, nor bells, nor any voice of mourning save the choirs, the shrill, demented choirs of wailing shells, and bugles calling them from sad shires. What candles may be held to speed them all? Not in the hands of boys, but in their eyes, shall shine from holy glimmers of goodbyes. The pallor of girls' brows shall be their pall, their flowers the tenderness of patient minds, and each slow dusk a drawing down of blinds. Next, They from Siegfried Sassoon. The bishop tells us when the boys come back, they will not be the same, for they'll have fought in a just cause. They lead the last attack on Antichrist. Their comrades' blood has bought new right to breed an honorable race. They have challenged death and dared him face to face. We're none of us the same, the boys reply, for George lost both his legs and Bill's stone blind. Poor Jim shot through the lungs and like to die, and Bert's gone syphilitic, you'll find. A chap who's served that You'll find a chap who's served that hasn't found some change. And the bishop said, the ways of God are strange. And finally, for this 5 live, also from Siegfried Sassoon, Aftermath. Have you forgotten yet? For the world's events have rumbled on since those gagged days, like traffic checked while at the crossing of city ways. And the haunted gap in your mind has filled with thoughts that flow like clouds in the lit heaven of life. And you're a man reprieved to go. Take your peaceful share of time with joy to spare, but the past is just the same, and the war's a bloody game. Have you forgotten yet? Look down and swear by the slain of the war that you'll never forget. Do you remember the dark months you held sector at Mehmet's? The nights you watched and wired and dug and piled sandbags on parapets? Do you remember the rats and the stench of corpses rotting in front of the front line trench, and dawn coming dirty white and chill with a hopeless rain? Do you ever stop to ask, is it all going to happen again? Do you remember that hour of din before the attack, and the anger, the blind compassion that seized and shook you then? As you peered from the doomed and haggard faces of your men? Do you remember the stretcher cases lurching back, with dying eyes and lolling heads, those ashen gray masks of the lad who once were keen and kind and gay? Have you forgotten yet? Look up and swear by the green of the spring that you'll never forget. I fear that we are forgetting. I fear that we are forgetting exactly what happens when differences outweigh similarities. I fear that we are forgetting exactly what happens when the future is less valuable to us than the past. I fear that we have forgotten what happens when people do not think for themselves, when people do not act as individuals. I fear that we have forgotten. I fear that maybe if we have forgotten, we don't realize there will not be a next time to forget. I don't think that, as awful as the wars in the past have been, they will hold any light to the wars of the future. I do not think that we realize this.